I want us to explore this subject on a tangible level, on a philosophical level, and on a spiritual level. To me, it is obvious that this reality that we are experiencing is a prison of some sort. That is what is obvious to me. And I think it's important for every human to realize that if we want to eliminate suffering, if we want the world to be better, if we want to be more free, if we want our collective experience to be better, we need to realize what we are dealing with now. Failure to realize that is only going to lead to more suffering. You are never solving a problem until you realize that there's a problem in the first place. If you don't realize that this is a hell room, you are never going to come up with the solutions that are going to eliminate suffering because you are in denial. You are failing to see the truth. If you're failing to see that this is a prison of some sort, you're never coming up with the solutions that are going to help reduce suffering, solutions that are going to put us in a better place, solutions that are going to make the future better. What's really preventing us from seeing the truth about this reality is our own biology. Our feelings, emotions, what our bodies respond to, hunger, loneliness, fear, desires, wanting to fit in, copying other people. These are the things that are actually preventing us from seeing the real truth. It's not that the truth wasn't obvious. The truth has always been obvious. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And this reminds me of this video that I watched on TikTok. They were talking about how easily your mind can be deceived, or how easily something can be hidden in plain sight. So in the video, there were people who were dancing, moving around while dancing, and they said that we must count those people or something like that. I don't really remember what they say, what the instruction was. So as these people were dancing and I watched the video, there was this man who was wearing a bear costume. He just passed. I didn't see the guy at all. And a lot of people didn't see the guy. When I checked the comments, a lot of people didn't see the guy. It's because of what we were focusing on. The problem is this. There are things that are obvious, but we're not focusing on these things. They've always been obvious. You see, I wasn't focusing on the bear, that's why I didn't see the bear. I was focusing on the people who were dancing and moving around. You weren't focusing on the truth. You were focusing on distractions. When you reach the age where you can actually think for yourself, they started giving you many distractions. Homework. You gotta do your homework when you get home. Wake up in the morning, you go to school. You gotta listen to your teachers. Listen to what they're saying. You're not thinking. You're not asking questions. And if you dare to ask questions, you will be discouraged. You see, the adults have been programmed to keep you in a low state of consciousness. And they don't even know that. The truth has always been obvious. The problem is that we are slaves to our own biology. Nature's mistake was that it made us value certain qualities in people, not the best opinions. So we must value certain qualities, but we must not really value opinions. So if there are people who possess these qualities that nature programmed us to value, we automatically give them power. We don't value opinions more than these qualities. You see? In the past, men who were tall, men who were able to fight, men with deep voices, men who were fearless, ruthless. These were the men who were valued. Their opinions were valued, not because their opinions were right, but because of the qualities they possessed. You see? And that did not change. We evolved to value people's qualities than opinions that can lead to our liberation. And we don't realize that. If you value opinions more than the qualities that people possess, you will think that other people also value opinions, right? You're going to project. You'll be like, obviously, this human is like me, so obviously they value opinions. So really, they want the best opinion to win. But no, they want people with the best qualities to win. I mean, not the best qualities, but the qualities that nature said were important. So if a person is extremely charismatic, maybe this person is charming, the way they walk, the way they talk, their confidence, they're smooth. When they speak, people want to listen, and they feel compelled to agree with them, not because their opinions are the best opinions. No. But because they possess the qualities that nature said were important. There is a reason why there are men who are sitting at home, mad, mad at the world. They're like, I'm a good guy. I would never impregnate a woman and run away. I will never cheat on a woman. I'll give her the world. I'll treat her right. But no woman wants me. You see, you might have the best idea on how a woman should be treated, but nature is more powerful than you. The qualities that are best are still gonna win. So if you're not very attractive, you're not very charismatic, you're not very confident, then you are not going to be the one that women pick. They themselves will still say they want a guy who's going to take care of them, who's going to love them, who's not going to run away if they're pregnant, if they get pregnant. But they will still choose the guys that nature said they have the best qualities. So it's not about your heart, your opinions, the opinions that are more true than other opinions. That doesn't matter. Growing up, I learned it quickly because I was right about a lot of things, and I didn't understand sometimes why, when I debated with some people, no one seemed to agree with me. If I'm debating with a kid that comes from like a good family, maybe both parents are teachers, the other parent is a lawyer, the other one is a nurse, those kind of kids, when you debate with them, whether you are right or wrong, it seemed like the other kids will automatically agree with them and not agree with you. And you're like, what's going on? I mean, I'm right. And the things that I was right about, we would later prove as we grew older. I was that kid that liked debating. So the things that I was right about that the other kids would be like, oh no, you're not right about this, we would prove those things as we get older. When you're young, you're still naive. There are a lot of things that you don't know, right? So we'll debate about stupid things that are obvious to adults. But, because we were kids and we ain't told the truth, we just had to figure out the truth ourselves. You see? So my opinions weren't valued even though they were the best opinions. Why? Because I wasn't powerful enough. You see, the qualities that nature said are best, I didn't have them. I didn't have parents who were powerful in the community. I didn't have the confidence that someone who has everything, who is given everything but their parents have. I didn't have that charisma. The confidence that you gain if your parents are doing better than everyone in the village. I didn't have that. I didn't look like the kids who were eating nice food all the time. I remember when I was young, I had a debate with this other guy, and what I was telling him was the truth. I was like, kids that come from our town, people who lived in our town, people who were doing well in life, people who had good jobs, I was like, have you noticed that they look good? Like, they look good, man. Like when you see them, even if they were wearing the same clothes with like we wore the same clothes, us and them wore the same clothes, you'll be able to tell that this one is from town because they look better than us. And I'm not even talking about like beauty. I'm just talking about like the skin. The skin looks better. Their hair looks better. They look healthier. Like you can tell that this person is eating, is eating right. As we eating nonsense. And it was something that was obvious to me since I was younger. People didn't even agree. I didn't understand why they didn't agree because it's something that I still see now. If when I was working as a teacher, it was something that was very obvious. I could tell that this kid is from a poor family. This kid, okay, the parents are working. Not even because of how they dress or whether they love themselves or not. You can see that this person is eating right. So, of course, they were loved, not because they were right, but because nature said, these are the ones that you must love. You are this woman who, you know deep down in your heart that you'll be loyal to your man, like if you could find a man that will love you, you'll be loyal, you'll treat him right, you'll make him happy, you'll treat him how a man would like to be treated. You'll be there for him in ways that matter really. You're not gonna use him, you're not gonna betray him, you'll stick with him no matter what happens, right? You know that. So you have the best opinion on how men should be treated and you're willing to follow through. But what if nature said you mustn't have the qualities that will make men drawn to you? Your perspective won't matter, your good heart won't matter, your opinion won't matter. You see? That's the biggest mistake that nature made. It made us love certain qualities in humans, not the opinions. It made us slaves to our own biology, but not our opinions. If we were slaves to our opinions, the world would be much better because we all know what's better. If the way that we evolved as human was different, like we evolved through opinions and we were picking better opinions all the time. It wasn't about, this person is born in a rich family, so we must love them and we must listen to them and we must, value their opinions. No. If it was about the best opinions, it doesn't matter if someone it doesn't even eat they don't eat, they have to go and beg for food, but if they have the best opinion, you're like, this is the best opinion. Actually, this opinion makes sense, this opinion is valid. If we evolved through opinions, we would have been free. If I was able to see, okay, I'm in a bad situation, for real. Yes, I feel like I must have children. I feel. Because nature doesn't care. It's not going to be like, if you're broke and you're poor, it's not going to make you not to want to have children. Right? But imagine if we evolve through opinions. What will happen is that if I see that, okay, you know what, I'm not ready for real to have children. If I want to have children, right? I'm not ready for real, I'm not. And it makes sense because it makes sense to not have children because I'm not ready. You see, I will be having children when things are right because I'm not a slave to my biology. I'm not controlled by my feelings. I'm not controlled by my hormones. I'm asking myself, what is the best opinion to have in this situation? Now, the best opinion to have in this situation, I must not have children now or ever. So now we are prisoners because we can't control our own biology, we can think, we can come up with the best opinions, but it's hard to follow through, even for you as an individual. You can have the best opinions about your own life, about how you want to live your own life, but you find that it's hard to follow through. But also, it's hard for society to pick the best opinions because we didn't evolve that way. We weren't picking the best opinions since the beginning. What we were doing was valuing the qualities that nature say that we must value in people. That is why South Africa is dealing with what it's dealing with now. South Africa was supposed to be one of the, I don't know, man, like one of the, like, because South Africa is not big, right? It was supposed to actually be one of the most peaceful countries in the world. Like, things would really be going well. But you know where we went wrong? We chose people based on their charisma to become our leaders. I remember I was having a conversation with this other racist the other day, and I was telling him that, because he was saying black people are stupid, and I was like, no, you don't get it. You do not get it. You know what it's like? I want to give you this. I think this is a very good example. I'm not a fan of soccer, but I know this is how it works. You could have the best players in the world, but if they're not being coached by the right coach, you find that this coach is gonna put Messi at the back, like, yo, you're gonna be a defender, and put defenders in the front. It's not gonna work. It's gonna look like the team is weak. Well, that's not the real problem. So what happened in South Africa is that we put the wrong people in power. Do you understand? We put the wrong people in power. Because these were the people who were allowed when we were fighting against apartheid. These were the fighters. You see, the real intellectuals, those who could have been good leaders, didn't become leaders at all. They didn't even have an opportunity because the people who were allowed were given platforms. You see, if you are known within the ANC organization, you are given a position because you are known. But not everyone can be a leader. So because we selected the wrong people and gave them power, things went downhill from 1994. So it looks like black people are stupid, but no, that is completely not true. There are a lot of smart black people who didn't amount to anything because those who truly have power, those who were given power, are not helping. I know geniuses, bro. Real geniuses be like, damn, if you were born in China, bro, you'll be a god. If you were born in America, bro, you'll be a god. If you were white, no, let me not go there. But the point that I'm trying to make is that if we value the wrong things, things will go wrong by default. African people like entertainment. We like people who can sing, people who can tell jokes, people who can make us laugh. So, if there's a politician who's very charismatic, who can make us laugh, like when he's talking, he's not too serious. You know what I'm saying? Don't be too serious. You know, make us laugh. Wow, we're gonna love you. You make us laugh. You're charismatic. You speak slowly. You sound like Nelson Mandela. You know, You're never frustrated. You're always laughing. No matter how bad things are, we're gonna love you. You're charismatic. We were programmed, as we were evolving, we were programmed to love those kind of qualities. It's not about the best opinion. So if a person comes with a better opinion, we ain't gonna listen, because they ain't gonna be dancing, they ain't gonna be singing, and that's the problem. So I was telling these racists, I gave him an example with, like, people who grew up in the project, for an example. I was like, you might think that all the people who grew up in the project maybe wanted to live, life that, we will all say is not good. But here's the thing, it depends on which qualities are valued where they're growing up. So maybe some of them want to be very educated, they want to, but you find that it's almost impossible. Maybe the mother is a drug dealer, the father is not present, and there's no one in that cycle who is actually encouraging them to maybe become a scientist, become a philosopher, or something that you will say is good in society, right? So now they are forced to do what? To do what everyone is doing. So you be like, yo, they're bad, all of them, instead of realizing the real problem. So you become a racist and be like, black people are this and that, and white people are this. It depends. Just like I was telling you that if you give people the wrong coach, you give a soccer team the wrong coach, they're going to keep on losing. Not because they're not good, but because they got the wrong coach. So if we are driven by principles that are not good, and you can't change anything when you're at the bottom, then we're screwed. So now we are prisoners. You see, our own biology is making us prisoners. We got addiction. People are addicted to porn. People are addicted to weed because we want to feel happy. And I mean, it's not wrong with me, but I'm just giving you an example. People are addicted to approval. When people don't agree with you, you can't sleep at night. You want people to agree with you. You want people to love you. You want people to say you're right. You want people to to be on your side and all of that. We are slaves to that. I know people who will choose to be wrong so that people will love them. Because me, I like debating with people. Sometimes I'll debate with people, and after the debate, some of these people will come to me and be like, Ish, man, I just didn't want to, say anything, but you were right, you were making sense. I'm like, why weren't you on my side? They want approval. It's 10 against 1. And maybe two of the people who are there, like, yeah, this guy's right, this guy's making sense, but damn, it's, 7 against 3, so no. Victims of our own biology, slaves of our own biology. So because of that, we are prisoners. Now let's approach this on a philosophical level. I wanted us to first approach it on a tangible level to show you that we're actually slaves because we can't control our feelings. We live in a society that values feelings over opinions that will actually liberate us. So you come up with the best opinion that's going to lead us somewhere as a society. They will first look at how they feel about the opinion, not whether the opinion makes sense or not. Secondly, they will look at the people who are co-signing that opinion. Oh, is this charismatic person co-signing that opinion? Oh, this person is not. So why should I listen to this weak as human who doesn't have any charisma, who no one is following, no one cares about? Why should I listen to this person? I remember I watched a debate. I was watching a debate before I made this video, actually, about assisted suicide. So when they introduce people, they'll first tell us what the person has accomplished. And I was like, damn, man, this is not right at all. Why should people care how many books the person has wrote? If the person is a professor or what? Just tell us their names and let's hear what they gotta say, bro. But it shows us that that is important to humans. A human might be willing to listen to a person because of how many people respect them. Social proof is a real thing. So if you've sold a lot of books and you're very famous and they introduce you as this person who sold a lot of books and was famous, people are going to be more willing to listen to you than to listen to a person who has not written any book, who's just a person. It's how it works. Especially when it comes to opinions. Because opinions are not fair. So if it was about facts, you will be able to make the other person look stupid because you will be able to prove your facts. Like what happened between Billy Carson and West Half. But when it comes to opinions, who has the better opinions? It's very difficult to figure out what is true because we are slaves to our own biology. What we must realize is that we are not free to be what we want to be, even if we want it to be free. You see, you are born into a world where you are given an identity, you are given a mission, a purpose. There's expectations that automatically makes you a prisoner. Now we're approaching this on a philosophical level. So you automatically become a prisoner. You're black. As a black person, this is what's expected from you. You must act this way. You must speak this language. I remember a couple of weeks back, I had this conversation with this person. He's Zulu. He hates that some Zulu people speak, not just Zulu people, black people like this. They like to speak English. Like, it's not our language, it's not this. And I'll be like, that's the problem. You want people to be prisoners of their own culture. If a person wants to speak English, they want to speak English. They don't have to preserve that culture. There may be some things about the culture that are not good that we might need to let go of and actually accept something that is better. That is evolution. We are all humans here. And we must realize that everything is made up. It doesn't mean that if the first Zulu person said we must dance like this, that's how every person who's going to come out of that bloodline is going to dance, because they're trying to preserve the... you end up being a slave, a prisoner, instead of evolving. You see? There's a problem that I have with conservatives, actually. They like to preserve what they know. And they like to feel like that's divine, that's secret, right? And that prevents people from truly evolving. We've seen that everywhere. Even when it comes to music. You find that KRS One is saying, "Oh, that's not hip hop. What Young Thug is doing is not hip hop. What this guy is doing is not hip hop." No, it is hip hop. It's just evolved. You may say, no. Back then, hip hop used to be this and that, but it can be boring sometimes. Like, people want to have fun. We did have rappers who rap like Young Thug before, who didn't really have a message, but who were making hits. You can listen to songs like, like from respected rappers, like who were dissing each other, F the Police and all of this, No Vaseline, all these kind of songs, right? They seem like this. It seems like these songs were hard, but there was nothing that was really being said. You can listen to songs that Snoop Dogg made way back. Dude be talking about clubs, gin and juice, all these things. There isn't much to it. It's the same stuff that these mumble rappers be rapping about. So the old heads just hate on the new cats. That's it. So it's like that everywhere. People wanna stick to what they know. So now you become a prisoner of your identity. You are a Tsonga person. As a Tsonga person, this is what is expected from you. As a black person, this is what's expected from you. As a South African, this is what is expected from you. You see, as a South African, you're not allowed to do this, to say this, to behave this way. As a human, you're not supposed to behave this way. You see? Now you are a prisoner even though you don't want to be. That is why we still debate about whether people should be allowed to be gay or not, whether people should be allowed to change their sex or not. You might be like, Benedict, what are you really saying? What I'm saying is deeper than a lot of people realize. If someone wants to do something to themselves and see it as something that doesn't make sense to me, if I fight against that, I'm creating a prison for them. And that also giving someone a right to fight against my own freedom. Do you get what I'm saying? So if I want to be an atheist in a country where being an atheist is not allowed, and I'm fighting against someone who wants to be gay, I'm also automatically giving the right to someone to fight me as an atheist, because they feel that is taboo, that is horrible, the same way that I might feel about the... Do you get what I'm saying? I want to show you that we feel like we are innocent and all of that, but really, we are making the same mistakes that everyone is making. So we've created this prison that we all are part of. You see, we're creating this prison and making things harder for others, while other people are also doing the same. You might find that someone who's gay is also creating a prison for some group of people without even realizing it. And they feel like they're justified in that right. And it's hard to escape that kind of trap. To understand that this is prison. We're not free. You're not like a bird. I mean, even animals are not free, but they are more free than you as a human. Because you can say a word and you get cancelled. You can say something and get arrested. You can do something that doesn't harm another person and get arrested. That's because we're not free. You get punished for trying to be free, for trying to speak your mind, for trying to operate at a high level of consciousness, going against what people believe. People ain't going to be like, okay, look, what you're saying is different. We don't agree, but keep thinking. Maybe maybe it will make sense. We don't know what your final truth is going to be, so keep on growing. We don't live in a society like that. We live in a society that wants to control. You see, we've been controlled since we're little, and it was normalized. You see, as little kids, when we went to school, we were being controlled by our teachers, and we were supposed to look at them as authority figures. And I'm not saying they're not, but I'm saying we were being controlled. We were not being raised in a way that was actually healthy. You see, and people don't realize that they were not raised right. Some of you were fishes that were judged by their ability to fly, and you didn't even realize that. You were competing with birds as a fish. You didn't even realize that. So when those birds were flying and you couldn't fly, you look at yourself and be like, there's something wrong with me. You judge yourself. You didn't realize what was being done to you. You were being programmed to be a certain way. It was never about you thriving and reaching your full potential. It was about the kind of people that are needed. So if birds are what's needed, then everyone is going to be trained to be a bird. Elephants are going to be trained to be a bird. Lions are going to be trained to be a bird. Birds are going to be trained to be birds. Penguins are going to be trained to be penguins. But really, the birds are going to end up being the ones that are thriving. Some birds are faster than others. So if it's about the speed, those that are naturally faster than others are the ones that are going to win. But now, there are things that a fish is better at when you compare it to a bird. So some birds could be faster than any bird in the world, but you find that there's a fish that's able to go deep into the sea and it can stay there for a long time without having to come back up. Find that the animal that is the fastest, they cannot do that. And we didn't realize that we were only being judged by our ability to fly because we're prisoners. We weren't supposed to be free to be what we are. And teachers will make that clear. You must follow rules. You must memorize what you're being taught word for word. Regurgitate everything. And that's when you go to the next grade. Your opinions do not matter. You could have an opinion that is actually better, but your opinions do not matter. What matters is that you memorize all the stuff that they are saying you must memorize. You see? So how are people supposed to be free? There's a reason why a lot of people who are truly intelligent are not coping. And we tell ourselves that it's mental illness. And I'll ask you a question, which is a very important question. Why are these so-called mental illnesses common among people who are truly intelligent? I do communicate with a lot of people, bro. And I can tell you that there are people that you'll be surprised how intelligent they are. And when you talk to them about what they're dealing with, they'll be like, I have a mental illness, I was diagnosed with this. And I'll be like, what? What if you're just stressing because you're not coping? You can sense that something isn't right, and because of that, you don't feel okay. But because those who are flying are doing well and they're not feeling all these negative emotions that you're feeling, they assume that you have a mental illness because you were judged by your ability to fly, but you were not a bird, you were a fish. So you're suffering because of that. You can see that something is wrong. You might not truly understand what is wrong, but you can see that something is not right. So you're suffering because of that. You understand the kind of prison that you are in. Let's approach this on a spiritual level. On a spiritual level. Born without your consent. You don't remember ever being conscious. Nothing. You are conscious now, having an experience. There's no button that you can press and you stop having this experience. Even when you go to sleep, you don't stop experiencing, you continue to experience. That automatically makes reality a prison. What makes it worse is that you're not in control of what you're experiencing. See, the fact that you're always experiencing, even if Maybe for some time you'll be like, I want to be switched off, but you can't be switched off. You will have to continue to experience. That in itself is bad enough. But on top of that, you can't even control your reality. You have to always be experiencing things, without knowing what is next. You can get a call and they tell you that something that you didn't want, you know, to happen has happened. And now you have a problem. It can happen. You don't decide what you get to experience. I mean, even if you do plan things perfectly, it doesn't automatically mean that things are gonna work out the way that you planned. So now you are watching this movie that you didn't select in the first place, and you can't close your eyes. This reminds me of the movie Get Out. You know, when the main character was put on a chair and he was forced to watch this guy talking about what he wanted from him. You know, he wanted his eyes because he was blind. So he was forced to watch. It's kind of like that. You just watch. No matter where you turn, you close your eyes, you still having an experience. That is the problem. You're still watching this. You are in a coma, you're still having an experience. You faint. Some people say when you faint, you don't feel or see anything. I fainted before, and yes, it felt like I didn't feel or see anything, but I think I can explain why. I think when your brain switches off like that, because you are still like, because it's something that happened quickly, there's still a bit of confusion. So your brain might shut off for a minute, but then there will be some activities that will, like, if you don't wake up, if they don't wake you up, then you start to dream, you'll start to have an experience. So it's because when you faint, it doesn't really last. Maybe it lasts for like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, before they wake you up. And sometimes you do have experiences even after fainting. You still dream. And sometimes maybe the last memories that you have were not even real. It was just your dreams, and then you wake up. Because you wake up, like, it feels like this, right? The same way that the same way that it feels when you wake up from your dream. So really, you can't really switch yourself off. And just because you don't remember having an experience doesn't mean that you haven't had it. There are dreams that we have that we forget completely until one day something happens that reminds us of that dream. Ever had a dream and you wake up and you don't remember the dream at all, but later during the day, someone says something and you remember the dream? Maybe someone talks about how you used to live in high school, and you're like, oh shit, I dreamt about high school, but I didn't remember since I woke up that I was dreaming about high school. But now that you mentioned it, I was dreaming about high school. I remember now. So just because you don't remember having a dream doesn't mean that you didn't have it. We have too many dreams really when we sleep. That is why, and I don't know if this happens to a lot of people, when I'm about to fall asleep, I start remembering dreams that I've had a long time back. I just automatically start remembering dreams that I've had a long time back. I'll be like, what's going on? Dreams that I don't, if I decided to sleep now, I will start to remember dreams that I've had a long time back. So you are watching this movie and you can't switch it off. You just watch it and you're not even in control of what is happening. No matter how hard you try. If you're born in poverty, you want to have money. You want to make it out the hood, but it's hard. Sometimes you feel like you must do things that are gonna get you in trouble, and you're scared. You're like, damn, what if when I take this risk, I'm gonna find myself in more trouble than I'm in now? What if I end up in prison? What if I end up getting killed? What if I end up being embarrassed? You know what I'm saying? So you're like, maybe I'm comfortable in my misery because I'm already used to it. If I take a risk, it might actually become worse, and I ain't trying to suffer more than I'm suffering because I'm already suffering. You don't know what happens after this, so you don't know what movie they're gonna show you next. So you're sitting on this chair watching this movie that you didn't select, and you're not loving the movie. It's bad, it's horrible. You know, it's wars everywhere, famine, things are not going your way. Like, you're just not enjoying the movie. You're just watching it and you're like, dang, this is nonsense, bro. And you're scared. You're like, what is next? What if the movie that I'm gonna watch next is way worse than this one? Damn. Can it get worse than this? You see, and you continue to suffer. Do you understand that this is a prison? You can't tell me that it's not a prison after watching this video, after listening to what I was saying. Because I approached it on a tangible level, try to show you on a most practical level how this is actually a prison. I try to show you on a philosophical level how this is a prison. Try to show you on a spiritual level how this is actually a prison. It's something that is obvious to me. It's something that I started understanding when I started waking up, you know, realizing how things work in the world. Asking myself questions about existence itself. What is existence? What is consciousness? You know, what is our purpose? Why do we dream? What is the purpose of our dreams? We don't choose our dreams. You know, what is the best way to experience our dreams? You know, even I believe that you must have courage. You must try your best to act from love than to act from fear. You know, when you're dealing with this challenge called life. But that doesn't mean that you're not in prison. You know, there are better ways to deal with your experience in prison. But that doesn't mean that the prison is not going to be a prison anymore because you've figured out what are the best ways to deal, you know, with life in prison. You know, maybe you must join a gang, become part of the gang, you know, become close with the gang leader. Maybe you must try your best to put yourself on top by beating the biggest man in prison so that everyone is going to fear you, you know. But that's very risky because there's gangs, you know. It's not like you're just dealing with one person, you know. It's a lot of people against you, and if you beat that guy and he's part of a gang, it might send some people to come and, you know, mess with you. But yeah, figuring out how to survive prison doesn't mean that you're not in prison. There are ways to survive prison. If you have money, people like Tyson, I remember I was watching him being interviewed. He was saying that he didn't even feel like he was in prison. You know, he was rich. You know, he was like one of the richest boxers, and he was Mike Tyson. People loved him. You know, his name alone meant a lot. He got visited, I think he said he got visited by celebrities like Michael. You know, like he got visited by big celebrities. So he was having a great time in prison. So it didn't really feel like prison for him. He was coping. He had money. There's this guy, he's South African. He killed 5 students. He was racing with his friend. You know, his family had money. They bought these dope cars, those dope racing cars, and they were racing and they accidentally killed 5 children. He got locked up. People went on strike. Dude must go to jail. Okay. He got out. I think he only spent, because I think he got arrested when 2010, 2011. So he got out maybe in 2020, somewhere there. He didn't stay for that long in prison, really. You know, he killed 5 people, but he didn't stay that long. But it's a mistake. It wasn't intentional. But he did that while he was breaking the law. You know, there's a reason why they say you must not speed. You know, so if I kill a person while I'm speeding, I don't know. I mean, if I kill a person and I'm not speeding, I'm not breaking the law, then it's understandable. We can say it's a mistake, you know. I might not get that much time in prison, but if I'm speeding, I'm racing in a place where I'm not supposed to be racing in the first place, it should be a different story, right? But your money talks, especially here in our country. But yeah, dude, when he was in prison, he said he didn't. He also said he didn't feel like prison. Like he had money. He was famous. He had money, so he had things that a normal prisoner would not be allowed to have. The prison guards were on his side, so he was surviving. There was a guy called it still exists, Tabo Bester. They made a documentary about him. It's on Netflix. I think it's called the Beauty and the Best or something like that. Dude was having a nice time in prison. He even got to escape prison, being held by guards because he had a lot of money. He just made a mistake. I don't know how he made this mistake really, because he got outside of prison, and then it was reported that he escaped prison, and then maybe 9 months later, he went to a store to buy something, which was a stupid mistake, and he was caught on the camera, and then they started looking for him, and then he escaped to another country. But what he should have done was to escape to another country, stay hidden for a while. People don't know him in Botswana, people don't know him in Lesotho. He's got money, he can establish a life there. Everything is money. You could have made things work for him. He escaped with his beautiful girlfriend. She was a doctor. But yeah, he had a great time. He was treated very well. He was living like a king in prison. Dude, even now, when they go to court, they got swag, bro. They wear expensive stuff. The shoes, the suits, and all of that. They still, what I'm saying? It's money. But just because you know how to survive doesn't mean that you're not in prison. It's important that we also learn how to survive, share our methods. How do we cope when we're dealing with this and that? That is why I do make some videos talking about that. But that doesn't mean that this is not a prison. Some people are just coping better than others. The same way that Tabo Bester is coping better than a lot of other prisoners. The same way that Mike Tyson was coping better than other prisoners. The same way that Jup Jup was coping better than other prisoners. The same way that Puffy, I'm not even sure, but I'm pretty sure Puffy is doing good in prison. I'm pretty sure Puffy is doing good, man. He's got powerful friends, They probably got his back, They probably got his back. So I remember I saw a video that made me laugh the other day, but I think it's AI. So they showed Puffy on a scooter in prison. He was on a scooter moving around. It was a funny video, but yeah, I'm pretty sure my nigga is doing good, man. I'm sure he's really doing good. Because you can't expect someone like that to be tortured in prison. Like he's got money. Money is power. He's got people on his side. He got people protecting him. He's already a boss there. He's got people protecting him. People who are on his side. People who are making sure that no one is getting close to him. So he might be living better than you who's outside. Find out he got cell phones. He got all this stuff. Like, he's also getting conjugal visits and all of that. You don't even know that is happening because, well, how would you know? But that's how it is. We have to understand what is really going on in this realm that we found ourselves in. Be philosophers, like let's look at things on a practical level. Let's look at what's going on. Let's look at the wars, what's going on, unemployment, all the information that's been kept from us, how we're being treated as sentient beings. Let's look at all of that. But let's also look at things on a philosophical level. What is morality? What is the truth? How should a human be? How to be free as a human? Let's also look at things spiritually. What is consciousness? Where did everything come from? What is existence? What does it even mean to be alive? What is our purpose? All of that. These are really important things to look at when you're trying to realize what is really going on in this realm. You see? when you're looking at everything, it's much easier to realize that nah, man, this is some kind of a prison. I might not really know what's really going on because, well, how do I know, right? But it doesn't mean that it's not a prison. Thank you all guys for watching this video until the end. I hope you've gained something from this video. Let's like this video, let's comment, tell me what you think. Let's subscribe to the channel. Let's keep on growing, let's keep on supporting this. It helps a lot. Thank you all guys.